Hello dear students, today we are going to learn a clinical vignette on post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. A 9-year-old boy is brought to the pediatrician by his mother because his urine has looked like cola. So he is passing cola colored urine for past 2 days. She also notes that his face has appeared puffy. That means he is having facial edema, particularly around his eyes, especially when he wakes up in the morning. 3 weeks ago, he was treated for honey crusted lesions around his mouth that is suggestive of impetigo with a topical antibiotic, but he has otherwise been healthy. On physical examination, his temperature is normal, blood pressure is increased for age, and heart rate is normal. He has noticeable periorbital edema and mild non-pitting edema of his lower legs. So, from this history, a young boy with cola colored urine since 2 days with a past history of impetigo, periorbital edema, hypertension, these all features favoring a renal cause, and this occurs after the infection which was treated with topical antibiotic, impetigo caused by the streptococcus infection, after which he gets post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. Urine analysis revealed dark brown color with protein 2 plus, blood 3 plus, microscopic showing dysmorphic RBCs and RBC cast is present. Dark brown urine is suggestive of hematuria along with the breakdown of RBCs in the renal tubules, which causes the oxidation of the hemolysis and oxidation of the hemoglobin to the methemoglobin and hemosiderin pigments. This leads to the dark brown color of urine. 2 plus protein is subnephrotic range protein. 3 plus blood is suggestive of nephrotic syndrome, and dysmorphic red blood cells are formed due to the mechanical stress caused by the inflamed GBM, glomerular basement membrane, through which the red blood cells squeeze out into the lumen of the tubules, and RBC cast form there in the tubules, and it is highly suggestive of renal cause of the hematuria, these renal cast. And this is the dysmorphic RBC seen on phase contrast microscopy especially, and the typical picture is blab shaped blab in the RBC, and acanthocyte formation which look like Mickey Mouse cell because they has ear like Mickey Mouse ear, and it is most specific form of dysmorphic RBC. You can also get some cystocytes, and you can get some small micro spherocytes also. Serology. Serology is showing the elevated blood urea nitrogen, elevated creatinine levels, and markedly decreased alternative complement pathway C3 complement levels. And however, the C4 complement is normal because only the alternative complement pathway gets activated because of this infection, because of this. And you can get anti-DNase B titer positive. Cases of PSGN can be seen after the skin infection, that is impetigo, or they also can be seen after the pharyngitis. After impetigo, you get increased anti-DNase B titer. After pharyngitis, you will get an increased ASO titers. This is the Immunofluorescence from the renal biopsy, which is rarely required for typical case of PSGN, and it showed granular deposition along the GBM membrane. This granular deposition occurs due to the deposition of the immune complexes along the GBM. These immune complexes are formed of antigens and immunoglobulins. These antigens are released into the circulation from the streptococcus, especially the nephrogenic strains of the streptococcus, especially the group A beta hemolytic streptococcus. Now coming to the MCQs. The immunofluorescence pattern shown in the image is classically described by which of the following terms? Option A, linear deposition along the basement membrane. No, it is not the linear deposition. Linear deposition along the basement membrane is seen in antibody mediated disease like Goodpasture syndrome. So this option is not correct. Option B, granular lumpy bumpy deposition. Yes, this is granular lumpy bumpy deposition because the deposition occurs anywhere in the GBM, in the mesangium, or in the subepithelial region of the Bowman's capsule. So the correct option is option B, and this deposition occurs because of the immune complexes. It is immune complex mediated. Mesangial predominant deposition. This type of deposition is seen in IgA nephropathy, and in this case the deposition is of IgA antibody along with the C3 in some cases. Pauciimmune and pauciimmune features seen in ANCA associated vasculitis, in which there is lack of significant deposition. Full house deposition including all antibodies and complement, it is seen in lupus nephritis. Next question. If electron microscopy were performed on this patient's biopsy specimen, what would be the most characteristic finding? Option A, diffuse effacement of podocyte foot processes. No, this is a classical feature of minimal change disease. Subendothelial immune complex deposition. This is seen in lupus nephritis and membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis. Option C, thinning and splitting of GBM. This is classically seen in Alport syndrome. Large dome-shaped subepithelial immune complex or humps. Humping and immune complex which is deposited in the subepithelial region is the classical feature of PSGN. So it is the correct option. Option E, tram track splitting of basement membrane by mesangial ingrowth. This is classically seen in MPGN. Now come to the next question. What is the primary pathophysiological mechanism causing the glomerular injury in this patient? Option A, type 2 hypersensitivity reaction directed against the type 4 collagen. No, this is the case of anti-GBM disease or Goodpasture syndrome. Type 3 hypersensitivity reaction due to the circulating or in situ complex immune complexes. Yes, in situ or circulating immune complexes formed against the antigens include the nephritis associated plasmin receptor or NEPLR and streptococcal pyrogenic exotoxin B, SPEB. So the antibodies mainly formed against these antigens which are either in circulation, and these antigens are still present after 2 to 3 weeks of streptococcal infection, and They remain in the circulation. Immune complex is either formed directly in the circulation or on the Bowman's capsule directly. So immunity mediated by immune complexes is type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. Type 4 hypersensitivity, no, it is not the type 4 hypersensitivity, which is mediated by the T cells. Option D, direct bacterial invasion and replication within the renal parenchyma, no, it is not correct. Option E, inherited defect in the alpha 5 chain of type 4 collagen. It is a classic feature of Alport syndrome. Now come to the next question. Which of the following is true regarding the infectious trigger for this patient's renal disease compared to the acute rheumatic fever? Infection which can cause the PSGN are impetigo or pharyngitis. However, ARF occur only after the pharyngitis and not after the impetigo. So both conditions only occur following the streptococcal pharyngitis? No, because PSGN can also occur after impetigo. This condition, option B, this condition can follow either streptococcal pharyngitis or impetigo, whereas ARF classically follows only pharyngitis. This is correct option. Option C, both conditions are preventable by early antibiotic treatment of primary streptococcal infection. It is wrong because antibiotics prevent rheumatic fever but not reliably prevent the PSGN. Option D, this condition only follows the streptococcal impetigo, whereas ARF follows only pharyngitis. So this is not correct. This condition requires concurrent infection with Staphylococcus aureus, unlike ARF. No, it is also not correct. Come to the next question. What is the most likely long-term outcome for this 9-year-old patient? Outcome of PSGN in young patient is very good, and approximately cure rate is more than 90% and without any sequelae. However, CKD can develop in cases of old age patients. So let's see each and every option. Option A, high likelihood of progressing to end stage renal disease? No. Development of chronic relapsing remitting nephrotic syndrome? No. Complete spontaneous recovery with supportive care alone? Yes, this is correct option. Requirement of 6-month course of high dose oral steroids, and there is no role of oral steroids in cases of PSGN. Chronic dependence on antihypertensive medication due to the permanent vascular damage? No. So what are the take home messages? PSGN classically present in a young child with cola colored urine with hematuria, RBC cast, periorbital edema, oliguria, and hypertension. It occurs after weeks, especially 2 to 3 weeks after a throat or skin infection. Key lab features include low C3 levels and normal C4 levels. In IgA nephropathy, C3 levels and C4 both usually remains normal. Positive ASO titer or positive anti-DNase B titer. Microscopically, you get the hypercellular glomeruli on light microscopy due to the inflammatory cells infiltrated into the glomerular region. On immunofluorescence, you get the granular lumpy bumpy IgG C3 depositions. On electron microscopy, you can see the subepithelial humps. And triggers include the impetigo or pharyngitis, unlike the rheumatic fever where only the pharyngitis is the culprit. Management is mainly supportive care with diuretics, fluid restriction, hypertension management, and edema management with diuretics. Almost all children recover completely. So this is all for today. Thank you.